We can enjoy it from wherever you're enjoying it from this evening. My name is John Ratcliffe. I'm going to be guiding you through all the action here this evening, and I'm joined by ex-GB3 racer, Mr. Josh Erfan. Josh, how are you this evening?
I'm very well, and yourself?
All good, thank you, mate. All good. I'm looking forward to an exciting evening of action. Now, drivers heading out of the dummy grid and onto the circuit for a bit of practice. Now, they've all done a lot of practice already, haven't they? Lots of pre-qualifying completed, and only the top 30 have made it through to this evening's action.
They have. They've been lapping around for a whole week now, so their pre-qualifying race was a whole week long, and only the top 30, obviously, as we mentioned, get in. So we have the best of the best here. We're going to put on a very, very good race for us and for all of you watching.
Indeed, it was hard fought in pre-qualifying. 1.5 seconds separated the best lap time from the slowest in terms of the top 30 that were able to make it through. As you mentioned, Josh, we had plenty more than 30 trying to get into and involved in tonight's action, but it was a face that we definitely recognise here in these parts in KartSim Esports. Certain Mr. Warwick Milan, who was the fastest. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion he could be one to watch this evening, but another driver that we're on board with at the moment, Alex Zicki, I think one to watch as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of graduates from the cadet championship we did last year, especially a lot of top runners. Alex Zicki finished second, I believe, last year as well, so it will be good to see how he progresses in the senior category.
Indeed. Yeah, we'll see how he cracks on with this one. And as we say, just getting involved in some practice at the moment. So stick with us. We'll soon be going to qualifying and racing action a little bit later on. We'll give you a little overview now before we jump into things. Though, of course, here at the Cartodromo Internacional Lucas Guerrero in Valencia, almost a 1.5 kilometre circuit with a good 11 or 12 corners. It's a long layout, long layout at this circuit. A tough one to master, but we'll see how the drivers can do this evening. But as I mentioned earlier, we've got lots of esports coming in 2026. We kick it off here with the Cup, but as you can now see on your screens, our race calendar, it is absolutely bumper to bumper, isn't it, Josh? We are going to so many different locations across multiple different series as well.
Multiple different series, multiple different continents. I mean, we have 16 races over 4 different championships, so it's going to be a very, very interesting series. We're going to have prizes for different series as well, which is going to be great. People from all over the world can join their selected series of a selected region they're in, or they could do all of them as well. Part of the Champions of Future software package we have gives you automatic entry to all these races if you so wish to do so, and we have some new tracks on there as well, don't we?
Exactly, yeah, like you said, a lot of drivers using this as maybe a bit of practice for their real-life racing as well, because this esports race calendar does run in lockstep with the real-life racing series run by Champions of the Future as well. So as you were mentioning, drivers maybe from certain regions using particular championships to get ready for their real-life racing, but also getting in and amongst it and getting involved across all the events, because you don't just have to do the ones that you're close to in real life. This is in virtual form. Why not try some tracks that are a little bit further afield as well? As you were mentioning, different continents, loads of different countries you can see on your screen there. The Euro Series, the UK Series, the International Series, prizes on offer amongst all. Lots of different winners to come. There'll be lots to watch. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of that.
Yeah, and with a minimum of 5 new tracks as well, we have the 4 international races, which are tracks in the Middle East and also in Greece, as well as Mulsanne, which is a new track for the Euro Series. So it's a lot of new content on the software, and it's going to be good to see people racing virtually on those tracks for the first time.
Exactly, and there was a little TBC sign next to it, but I am particularly excited of seeing how we get on with the new Silverstone kart track as well. I know very little racing has been done on it in real life, but I look forward to bringing that to you guys in virtual form as well. The guys behind the scenes here at KartSim have done an amazing job at getting that all sorted. There's
definitely a certain buzz with having a Formula 1 track, obviously, in our back garden as well, and then also having a new karting track, state-of-the-art karting track. That's going to be a track that I want to drive personally as well. I want to see if it lives up to the expectations of the Silverstone track. I mean, it's a historic venue, and I think it's really going to do successful in the whole calendar.
Exactly. The Silverstone name has a lot of weight behind it, so you would expect them to be doing it to a pretty high bar. But they've got to back it up once all is said and done. But I've seen the track layout. It does look like a lot of fun, and I'm sure that's going to carry over into virtual form as well. But that's a little bit later on in the season. We'll worry about all of that and championship permutations and whatnot as we continue to press on through. But as we mentioned, tonight is the Cup. This is a standalone event. no points coming away from tonight's racing to go towards any sort of championship. This is all standalone. Whichever drivers get to the sharp end by the end of the 12-lap race coming later tonight will bag themselves some prizes. So your winner of tonight's event will be able to grab themselves a copy of the KartSim Pro simulation software of their choice. So if they've already, say, got the UK one, but they're thinking of trying some European tracks and some European racing, jump on the EU software as well. But of course, whichever driver wins can make that decision themselves. Second place on the podium, bag themselves a Camus C5 steering wheel, a high-performance direct drive wheel. So a very exciting prize there for P2. Just missing out on the win, but hey, you'll take a Camus C5 wheel, I think. Third place on the podium, a £100 KartSim voucher. That can be used for software, hardware, or any of the services that KartSim offer as well, of course, driver coaching and all that jazz. But loads of prizes on offer, and it's only the first of, I believe, 16 different events this year, and we've already got some amazing prizes on offer.
Yeah, and we've already got some amazing drivers. I'm sure we're going to have more and more enter, especially from the Champions of the Future series as it runs alongside their main championship as well. So it'd be good to see. I mean, there already is quite a few new drivers that have come in from the Champions of the Future side into the KartSim Esports.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of drivers on the list for this evening. We were sort of having a little pick through, weren't we before the stream started, trying to work out who maybe we think is going to be nearer the sharp end in this one. As we mentioned when we brought the stream in, a couple of names that we spotted, and we go, I recognise you. I look forward to seeing what you do here in these beautifully liveried Champions of the Future karts. But quite a few names as well that maybe we'd be used to from real-life racing, but we haven't seen yet in KartSim Esports.
And just to switch over to the practice and those names that you're saying we're going to be at the sharp end, Warwick Milam is in P1 to begin with, Alex Janalay second, Fyodor Tubal third, Alex Lizicki again second in the main championship last year is in fourth. But, I mean, it's anyone's game at the moment. We're still in practice. A lot of drivers, they've already done a whole week of practice, so they might be taking it easy, trying to conceal a little bit of their pace before qualifying.
I think there's probably a bit of tactics to play as well, maybe working out who you can trust around the circuit and maybe who you want to steer clear of as well. Practice session might be a good time to sort that out, because as you say, you've already had a week of getting prepared for this event in terms of setting quick lap times, getting yourself pre-qualified for it as well. So I'm sure the drivers already know the circuit like the back of their hand. Plenty of them will have raced around this circuit for real as well. So there's lots of talent on showing this evening. And let's see if the cream does indeed rise to the top and who it'll be that takes the first overall victory of the year in KartSim Champions of the Future Esports. I'm super excited for it. Right, 8.5 minutes left to go then in this practice session. Like you were mentioning, Warwick Milam pre-qualified in pole and currently your fastest, but from a neutral's perspective anyway, it's nice to see that the gap to second place is still less than a tenth of a second.
It always is in KartSim Esports. It's always been so close. Obviously, you all have equal machinery as well, which is a plus side for anyone who wanted to do these races. There's a lot of drivers also that are very young, that normally race micro or mini, that are stepping up into a senior kart.
Indeed. I was just trying to find on my list the driver who I had noted has been 9 years of age. It's Anson Gao. Pre-qualified 23rd in Anson. British driver, 9 years of age and currently racing in Micromax is Anson. So I look forward to seeing how they get on. But yeah, like you were mentioning, the spread in terms of drivers, in terms of ability, where they are in the world, and also age brackets as well. All the drivers here racing in senior category karts, but a lot of them in real life would be nowhere near tall enough to jump in a kart like this. So great to see them stepping up super early here in the simulation software. And they can, it offers this, doesn't it? Racing virtually allows that leveling of the playing field and allows for drivers who in real life wouldn't even fit in the kart to get in amongst it and really scrap at the sharp end.
It really allows them to get thrown into the deep end in this championship. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of racing, a lot of clean racing, but I'm really excited to see, and I want to see how they fare against those bigger drivers that maybe might bully them on the track with their size and confidence, but hopefully that all disappears now and we can put up a good fight.
Indeed. Looking forward to it. Only a few minutes left of practice then, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Stick around with us. We'll soon be going to the qualifying session where we'll set the grid for 12 laps of racing here at Valencia. Now, we haven't done a race at Valencia on KartSim Esports Champions of the Future, but we did do an event last year for the Tillotson T4 Virtual Nations Cup. Now, with those being four-stroke engines as well, some slightly different racing. And you often find, of course, the real-life Nations Cup held here at Valencia. You often find it's a lot of working together of who you work with through the race, and then it kicks off on the last lap. I'm interested to see if, given these slightly higher powered karts, maybe there's more chaotic racing from the start. I don't know if you can maybe give us a better insight.
Well, you'll be going to that first corner a lot quicker, won't you? So there's definitely a lot more risk. But I want to see if the top 3 break away like we did last time, but it could be a whole just giant fight. You never know, they might try and white line it for 12 laps, but they normally try and work together to get away, and then at least one of the top 3 get a prize anyways, so then they can race for glory.
Exactly, yeah. All drivers will be battling for the glory. They all want that P1, but I think they maybe won't be feeling so bad about settling for 2nd and 3rd in this one, given the prizes that are on offer indeed, as you say, Josh. Well, I think final thing to just mention before we do go into those competitive sessions. Now, if you like what you're seeing on the live stream this evening and you think, I've got a good sim rig at home, I want to get involved in this. The one key point to mention is to be involved with the KartSim Champions of the Future Esports races this season. You must own the KartSim Champions of the Future Esports Software that is available over on the KartSim website. So all drivers involved this evening and throughout the rest of the season do all own that piece of content, that piece of software, and that is effectively your ticket as well to get involved. So, like I'm saying, if you want to get involved, you like what you're seeing, make sure you head over to the KartSim website and buy your piece of software. Yeah,
and I mean, all these tracks have been updated. They've been all made as realistic as possible, but there's also those new tracks that I was mentioning earlier that you can only get on this software so far. So that's very interesting for a lot of the international drivers who maybe their home track or a track they go to often has all of a sudden just appeared on KartSim software. And it's good to, I mean, imagine there's a lot of drivers here from different continents, and the fact that they can all race together at one time is very, very cool.
Indeed. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Less than 5 minutes left to go here in practice then. And still Warwick Milam with your fastest time. I mentioned how nice it was to see that gap back to 2nd place was less than a tenth of a second. Well, it's gone ever so slightly over that now to Alexis Janelé there in 2nd place. Theodore Tubal is there in 3rd. And we're about half a second then back to 5th place, aren't we? Yes, Ziki, who we are following at the moment, in that 5th place. Now, looking at the circuit itself, Valencia, beautiful circuit. Have you raced there in real life, Josh?
I have not. I've driven it, but I have not raced it, unfortunately.
Okay, at least you've driven it. So, what is it like to drive? I've been lucky enough to commentate at the Southern Circuit, but it's a very different experience actually driving it. Where are the sort of areas where we could maybe see there being a bit of action, a bit of chaos around this lap?
Well, luckily at Valencia, there's always a lot of sunshine, but there's also a lot of long straights that go into a lot of tight corners. So, for example, the chicane we just went into, again, you're going to have this long back straight into another chicane. So defending is going to be very tricky. There's going to be big chances to set up someone for a move to try and get a cut back. I mean, you're going to be flat out through all here, but as you go into this sort of hard braking zone, it can really, make or break your lap, especially if you're going on a qualifying lap. The nerves going into that last corner to make it just right are really, really tough to try and hook up a lap. But, I mean, there's a lot of moves possible. There's a lot of tight corners that you can just dive up inside, especially into like this one here. There's a lot of unexpected moves as well you can do, as Alex Lazicki takes a lot of curb through that chicane. Again, into here, there's a lot of left-rights where you might not remember to defend, but someone can easily just shoot it up inside of you.
Okay, so some good places, opportunities for block passes and things, and really scupper up your competition, which will be good as well. Hold up the pack, more people get involved, makes it more exciting for us in the commentary box. I think the main area, like you mentioned as well, that final chicane of the lap, that's always the big ticket, isn't it? When you see drivers fanning out 3-4 wide down the back straight as they're going into the final corner on the final lap, and it's always rather chaotic. Now, issue for the drivers here in racing in virtual form is, I know in real life there are tyre barriers on the inside of that chicane. They often get moved on the final lap, whereas in the virtual software, they're not going to move. You're going to bounce off them, and it's going to really impact your race. So I think maybe drivers will have to be a little bit more cautious going through that section.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're not always hitting your apexes and your apex marks, there's actually no barriers on the right-hander, but on the left,
yeah.
if you do overshoot it, you do have a couple of little barriers that, unfortunately, in the sim, you can't hit them and go through them. They properly stop you. So yeah, it's not a nice thing to hit. I know I've done quite a few hot laps to try and see where I compare to these boys, and I've come into the last corner, broken slightly a little bit too late, and just gone straight on.
Yeah. Accidentally entering the pits. Yeah, that's never ideal for a hot lap. But yeah, Warwick Milam putting in some incredible laps at the moment, still fastest by just over a tenth of a second. I'd love to see as well, top 10 only separated by 7/10. So it's looking like guys right at the sharp end, just finding that little bit extra over the rest of the field. But from sort of 3rd place downwards, we're looking at a couple of tenths. It really is the tiniest of margins here that could separate you from a top 5 start on the grid, or maybe dropping outside of the top 15.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about is strategy. Strategy is not something well, it is something we've seen a lot of actually in KartSim Esports. A lot of people in qualifying have actually come in for a new set of tyres, because I would say it takes quite quick changeover of tyres. I think it's only about 15 seconds of software. So a lot of people, they do the first sort of 3 or 4 laps, they come in, put a new set of tyres on them, and they go for it. So it's really interesting to see who's consistently up the front for the first stint, but also can really maximise those fresh set of tyres in the middle.
It's almost like an F1 qualifying session. They go out, they do one hot lap on the tyres, get them in, chuck them off, new set on, head back out again. And that's maybe where the drivers who have done some previous eSport experience with us, either end of last year or even before that, they've learned those little extra bits, those little bits of information that could help them in key moments of the sessions, and maybe that'll help them drive to the fore. Well, not too long for us to wait and find out then. Less than a minute left to go here in practice. We'll run you through those final results from practice, and then everything gets reset and we forget that this session ever happened. We'll move straight into qualifying, and that'll be short and sharp, that qualifying session. 10 minutes for the drivers to put a lap together, which, given that a full lap is nearly a minute in and of itself, if things go wrong, quickly that time will start ticking down and drivers losing opportunity to get their way up the grid.
Oh, 100%, especially if you want to go for a pit stop. It's going to be out in 3 laps, pit, and then 3 laps again, which is what we saw last time we did an event in the championship. Sorry, not in the championship, in the Champions of the Future. But it's going to be very interesting to see who can actually extract that lap. Especially in European racing, they normally go out in the last sort of 3-4 minutes of the session, because the tyres, they don't last very long. Your track position doesn't last very long, and the track consistently gets better, as it does in the software as well. So those last laps are going to be the ones we're going to be waiting for, and we're going to be very excited to see what some people can come up with.
Yeah, that will be absolutely key, won't it, to set the grid for the racing ahead. Now, that's not all said and done. You can still make your way back through the field in the race, but it's a lot simpler for you if you start further up the grid. So a lot of key things to play out in this qualifying session, which will be starting in only a few moments' time. Checkered flag is out then on the first competitive session for the KartSim Champions of the Future Esports Cup, as we kick off what is sure to be a fantastic 2026 of KartSim Champions of the Future Esports action. There is Lorenz de Kock round the final corner. He finishes his lap and goes up to P9. Good lap from Lorenz to finish the session, and classic chucks it in the wall. We saw a few drivers having some interesting celebrations, I think, to say the least, after the previous race. I think we'll see that again.
Yeah, I definitely think that's for one area that KartSim isn't as realistic, because when you put it in a wall, you don't break yourself and the kart, which is a good thing. I mean, damage is off for all these events as well. Just gives them a chance to keep going if anything happens, and you can keep racing. You want to see the people in race. You don't want to see people retire, do you?
No. Exactly, and that's why it's such a good piece of kit to be able to practice from home as well, because people often say the only way to find the limit of grip is going beyond it, and a safe way to do that is doing it from the comfort of your own home. But there you can see there the finishing order in practice. The drivers hammered it round for around 15 or so minutes there around the Circuit Internacional Lucas Guerrero. 25 drivers setting a lap there in practice, and of course it was Mr. Warwick Milan, your fastest there in that session. But like I say, it's just practice. We don't need to worry about those times anymore. They give us maybe a little inkling as to what this qualifying session is going to look like, but it's everyone's game once again. 10 minutes on the clock. Let's get this one started.
It gives us an idea, but we know we're always surprised on KartSim Esports, so let's see what some people, maybe they're holding back. I know Warwick Milan certainly isn't, as he goes straight over the curb on the first lap. He's pushing straight out the pits. He wants to get that track position. He wants to get those banker laps in, so when he gets some new fresh set of tyres, he's ready to go. He knows what he needs to do. He's already done it before, and then, well, it's anyone's game, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, I hope Warwick Milan wasn't holding back with the sort of times that he's been putting in. Hopefully he has been laying it all on the table. If he was holding back, the other drivers have got some serious work to do to try and chase him down throughout this evening's racing action out on the virtual track. But let's see if any of the drivers can get close to that time set by him. Now, I'm interested to see where he immediately dives back to pit lane, does Warwick Milan. So already some tactics at play there from Warwick. I'm interested to see whether drivers decide to work together here in this qualifying session, or whether they all decide to just go it alone and try and put a lap in. Because, as you were saying before, so many tactics coming into play, but also you could be on the lap of your life and suddenly you come up behind someone who's a little bit slower, they mess up that lap, and then you've got less and less time to try and put a good time in.
Well, I certainly remember for my racing days, especially in Champions of Future races as well. You always look at sort of the top 5 in practice, see where they are. You want to be following someone that's either quicker than you or sort of a similar pace. You don't want to be following someone that you're going to catch after a couple laps. So I know a lot of drivers will probably be following Warwick Milam out the pits. Very scramble out the pits anyways as soon as the light goes green. So watch Warwick Milam. I'm sure maybe he just came into the pits just to throw a couple of his drivers off. Get some clear track position where he can go ahead. But if you can get a proper slipstream, a proper chase, it is worth a good 2-3 tenths.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see how this plays out. There may be a bit of mind games already coming into play. We're not even into the regular season yet, and already potential for a few mind games. Well, the excitement of KartSim Esports continues then. Thank you all so much for joining us here this evening, whether that be on the KartSim YouTube channel or on the Champions of the Future Esports channel as well, being live streamed on both this evening and throughout each of the 3 championship seasons as well. We'll give you some shout outs when we have another second, but just over 7 minutes then left in this session. And already the first laps starting to trickle in. Theodore Tubal currently quickest, but you see purple there from Alexis Genelay, and he goes top already then, a 53.452 pace set from Alexis. A good few tenths clear then of Theodore and Hayden Taylor as well for the moment. Had seen Alexicki jumping up the order to start with, but it seems as though as those laps have trickled in, he's just slipped outside of the top 10 now. But for the moment, Genelay setting the pace, but we haven't yet seen a representative time from Mr. Warwick Milam.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Alex Alexicki as well. He's always been up the pace. As Warwick Milam actually comes out the pit lane now, I'm wondering, has he come into the pit lane twice?
I think you might be right. I think you might just be right. Interesting.
I might have to see what sort of tactics he's playing later on.
He's reading from a different book than me. I don't know what he's doing, but it might just work. You just never know. Like we were saying, KartSim Esports, those curveballs like they're going out of fashion. So let's see how this one plays out then. Good few names, new names that we mentioned, Oscar Paulsberg being one of those. Good to see Oscar getting stuck in and amongst it this evening. Great to have so many new names in and amongst the championship. It's great to have Oscar with us. Oscar, Norwegian is Oscar, so beaming in from Norway this evening. Races in Junior Rotax for Parallel Norway, so good to have Oscar on board. I'll try and give a few highlights to a couple of other drivers as well as they continue around. There's a bit of a lock up there as he went over the curb for Oscar, trying to put a bit of a better lap in. He's jumped up to 16th on that last lap, but he's lost a good 9 tenths on that first sector. That's not conducive of a pole time, sadly.
No, but it's still early on in qualifying. I mean, even Warwick and Teddy Cooper, they still haven't set a lap time yet. So let's see. Obviously, they do have a strategy, and it has been working for them in the past. So maybe we're wrong, and they know something we don't. But as Warwick goes on, he's already purple. He's 2 tenths up on the first sector. So this is the first push lap. Let's see. Let's ride on board with him to see what he's doing that makes him a little bit quicker than just the rest.
Yeah, let's have a watch then. Using all the surface that he can here, trying to carry as much speed as possible, as you mentioned, purple there through the first part of the sector. Let's see if he can continue that on through the rest of the lap. Like you mentioned earlier, flat out through this entire final part of the lap, as he then chucks on the anchors, boots it over the curb. Orange through the middle sector, goes to P2. He's half a tenth off of the lap from Alexis Genelay already then. I think a little bit of time there, lost through the second and final sector. I still think he's got more to find though, and given he's only half a tenth off at the moment, let's see how he does on that next out lap.
But he's coming to the pits again.
I
think he does a 1 lap push like in Formula 1. It obviously works for him because he goes straight into P2, but there was definitely a good amount of time in that middle sector where he'll be looking to improve on himself.
Indeed. Well, yeah, like we say, some interesting tactics on play already, but for the moment it can't beat Alexis Genelay. He has just gone even faster. 1.5 tenths clear now is Alexis out front, and here he is. Who's he following round then at the moment? I'll drive a little bit further down the order as there's a serious accident in the background. Who was that flipping over? I think that was Anson Gao. I think that was our 9-year-old racer having a bit of a... he was having a flipping good time there, he was, down the front straight. Well, he's going to continue on with this qualifying session, but might just have to give that lap up. Following closely behind is Alex Alexicki. Like you mentioned earlier, was up right at the sharp end of our cadets last season. And now up into the top 3, and he is following current fastest. You were saying drivers might just be doing that, and it's exactly what Alex is doing at the moment.
I mean, the chase, having someone a little bit quicker ahead of you, just pushing, you can see where the gap, you can very much improve on your own lap time. That's not something they had when they were doing the qualifying, week of qualifying. It was all private practice to be actually on this track with them at the same time. There's little tips and tricks that they can learn from.
Indeed, indeed. Right, just less than 3.5 minutes left to go in this session, as that was up on 2 wheels nearly for Lexicki there, as we just cut away from him. Here's Warwick Milam, though, and as you're pointing out in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, purple first sector for Warwick Milam. He's headed back into the pits, he's done that out lap, got the heat in the tyres, and now he is on a full push lap here around Valencia. He's only got, well, I was going to say half a tenth, obviously that's now increased to just less than 1.5 tenths here to find. He's only found 1/4 tenth in that first sector. Has he found more? Yes, he has. Another 1/2 tenth of a second there in sector number 2. This sector 3 is going to be crucial, Josh.
This sector 3 is just a straight in the last corner, so it always really makes or breaks your lap. Slightly misses the first apex, but has managed to keep it through. And let's see what it gets onto. And he's pole position by 1/100th of a second. It is very close at the front. And that's Alex Genelay absolutely sending it over a curb. Let's see if he can go back to pits, maybe get his new set of tyres on, and then I think they all got one more run each.
Had he seen Warwick's lap and just gone, oh, what? And just chucked in the wall? No, I'm sure not. I'm sure not. A little mistake there from Genelay as we cut to him. But yeah, does he have enough time here to go back to the pits, do an outlap and get another lap? And I think he might just at the moment, but it's going to be getting pretty tight.
Well, Warwick Milam just pitted for the third time. So he's really found a way where outlap, one lap, pit. And it's obviously working for him because he's the fastest boy out there. Actually, I think that's what he was doing as well. He just came back to pits, got a new set of tyres, and he's going again. Probably following Warwick Milam out the pits, I would imagine. Yeah,
I think that would make a lot of sense. If you can't beat him, join him, eh? So why not follow him round, see what he's doing, maybe a little bit different, and see if he can find a little bit more time. At the moment, I think he's on his own, is he? Heading down to the final section, he is. He's currently following Theodore Tubal. He's a little bit behind, though, so does have some space to play with. Can't see Milam in the pit, so he has headed back out then. But there is no time in this, is there? Less than 2/100ths of a second at the moment between Milam and Genelay, and currently that time continuing to tick down. Less than 100, just less than a minute and a half left to go in this one. Milam slowing there to find a bit of space as he now heads onto his last flying lap of this session. We've already got Alexis Genelay on his, and Warwick Milam now starts his final lap.
Now, I think he might have timed it well so that he has 2. Obviously, it's a 53-second lap, and he's just gone over the line with a minute left. So he should have 2 push laps, just in case the first one goes a little bit wrong, and Alex Genelay or someone else pips him.
Indeed. Well, let's see. If he can't do it on first time, he might have another opportunity for a second bite of the cherry. And let's see how we can on this first time. Immediately going purple in sector number 1. Warwick's found a little bit more time, but we don't know what Genelay's doing just ahead on his fast lap as well. 30 seconds left to go on the clock. But keep your eye on that timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. Let's see if Genelay can go any faster on his lap as well. Warwick continues to hammer it round sector number 2 now. The tight and twisty section of the circuit as it now opens up as they head into sector number 3. I think Genelay would have seen the not the checkered flag, but the board at the side of the circuit anyway, denoting that lap is complete, and he hasn't gone any faster. Well, Milam's heading on through. He's lost a bit of time in sector number 2, but can he find more there? He does. Another 100th found then for Warwick Milam. It is so difficult to find any time here when drivers are this on it, but he's found an extra 100th, and could that be enough?
Even his lap was purple, 2 yellows, but his yellows were only about 100th each of his time as well. So, I mean, the fact that he can do a lap consistently fastest within 100th of each other makes him probably a favourite for the race, where that's what matters, making sure you're consistent, make sure you can do your best every lap without making mistakes, because mistakes kill races.
Indeed. Well, Alexis Genelay peels off to the pit lane, then he was 2 yellows on that final lap around the circuit, and that is session over for P2 at the moment. I think finding over 3/10 of a second for third and fourth of Benarentz and Lexicki is going to be a challenge, but let's see if they can jump up the order on these final laps. It looks as though Lexicki's down on this final lap, and indeed he will peel straight off into pit lane. We look back to Brian Benarentz, but again, he's lost a couple of seconds already in sector number 1. That's going to be session over, and I think pretty much the grid is set then for the first KartSim Champions of the Future Esports Race of the Year.
Yeah, just to highlight how close the grid actually is. Obviously, you have Warwick and Alex about 3 tenths ahead, but from P3 to P14, it's just 2.5 tenths that separates the whole grid. So one little mistake on your lap time, and that pits you halfway down the grid.
Yeah, wow. That is crazy, isn't it? Quite how close the grid is here for the first event of the year. But that just shows the amount of talent that we have got on show here for the KartSim Champions of the Future Esports event in 2026. Of course, here for the Cup this evening, a stand-alone event with prizes for our top 3 drivers. And let's have a look at the grid then for the first race of the season. Warwick Milam will start on pole position. He pre-qualified on pole. He was probably the one we were thinking would take that pole position, and he has. Alongside him is Alexis Chenelay. Brian Benarent is on row 2, as my ticker in the box has just gone round, so I'm afraid you're going to have to wait for me to tell you who was on 4th place on the grid, as we then continue to look further down. Alex Exicki was alongside him on the 2nd row. Theodore Tubal and Oscar Poulsberg were on row 3. Then Artian Tambor, Thomas Anthony, Johan Bordeaux and Finley Lyons rounded out the top 10. And then I will fill you in 11th and 12th in a moment. Joshua Begembe, Darius Aronovich on row 7. James Vout and Isaac Morgan are there on row number 8. As we'll continue to look through the grid. Apologies about just the issues with the server in the background. We'll jump in that in a few moments. Ethan Millen, Harvey Sargerson there on row 9. Stig Navstad and Ishant Jiva Deepan behind them on row number 10. Jonathan Ramos and Jensen Houghton. Then Sawyer Henderson, Leonard Clapsing. And we're almost getting to the back of the grid now. Behind them, Alaya Knoll and Anson Gao, I believe, rounds out the grid of this one. I think we were supposed to have 28 in total. I think we got 26 now that the event has begun. But still, an absolutely bumper grid for this first one of the year as we continue to press on through the evening's action. Of course, practice complete and qualifying has now set the grid. I think just a couple of teething problems in the background, but we'll be sure to bring you the racing action as soon as we can here from Valencia. But as we were just mentioning, as close as you like there in qualifying. Of course, the top 2, 3/10 clear of the rest of the field, but those two within hundreds of each other. That should be interesting off of the front row of the grid. I think it's going to be a case of who can get ahead by that first corner, and then if there's continuing to be 3/10 a lap clear in terms of race conditions, there might need to be a bit of a truce for a while for them to press on ahead, leave it to the last lap or two, and then they can work together again to bring it to a close.
Yeah, I mean, 12 laps isn't really long for a racing condition here. I mean, it goes very quickly. We know in KartSim Esports it's started and then it's ended, so let's see how well they can work together. Let's see how far they can get away. Let's see how close the grid actually is, because we know the timing is quick in qualifying, but it also matters how consistent they are as well.
Might we see as well, if you're a driver on row 2, row 3, who is a few tenths off of that ultimate pace there in qualifying, there might be the thought as well of, I think the first corner might be my only chance to really get ahead of these drivers, so could we potentially see a bit of a lick of the stamp heading into T1 as well here? Of course, we don't endorse any sort of chaotic antics like that. We wouldn't possibly do that from up here in the commentary box, but hey, it would make our job more exciting. We'll see if it does play out like that when the race does begin. 12 laps around the Cartodromo Internacional Lucas Guerrero. And as we just saw in qualifying, just less than a minute of each lap. So it's going to be around a 12-minute race as well. So not a huge amount of time for things to play out, really. We saw how quickly both that 15-minute practice and the 10-minute qualifying, we got that done and dusted pretty quickly. 12 laps will be gone in the blink of an eye. It really will be. We'll start the race and suddenly it will feel like 60 seconds later we see the checkered flag and we bring it all to a close. But there's going to be some bumper action from start to finish, I am sure. We're just getting ourselves loaded in now into the race event, and we should be going to green lights in only a few moments' time. But yeah, 26 drivers on the grid. It's going to be interesting. It's
going to be some very, very close racing. I mean, 26 is what you have on the normal grid anyways, so 30 obviously invited. Some of them may just not been able to make it tonight. Obviously, for the championship, they will be able to, but as a one-off, they might have other commitments as well. Yeah, exactly. Well, like we said earlier, if you're enjoying what you're seeing this evening, make sure to get involved later on in the season. We're basically kicking off from today and continuing on for the rest of the season, pretty much on a bi-weekly basis. We're doing tonight's event, the next one only on the 18th of March. So you've only got 2 weeks to wait, and we are actually heading back to the Cartodromo Lucas Guerrero, Valencia in Spain. You can see there for round number 1 of the International Series. So why don't we, while we're just waiting for the moment,
briefly run you through the Esports Race calendar. Round number 1 of the International Series there at Valencia in Spain. Round 2, Thessaloniki in Greece. That's in May. Then we move on to round 3 of the International Series with a turbo at the start of July. Then round 4 off to Oman, the Muscat circuit in Oman. That is in October. So a good break then from July to October. And then in quick succession, round 4, 5 and 6 of International Series. Round 5 then in the UAE at Al Ain, and then Alpha San also in the UAE brings us to a close in November. Then looking to the Euro Series, slightly shorter. So it's 6 rounds for the International Series, 5 for the Euro Series, and 4 for the UK Series. So for the European rounds, La Conca in Italy kicks us off 1st of April for that one. Then round 2, again heading back to Valencia in Spain. We like this track, so we thought about sticking it into a couple of the series. Of course, we're running in lockstep with the real season. It's just a great circuit. Why would you not want to visit it? Round 3 Euro Series is Mulsen, Germany. Round 4 Kristianstad in Sweden. And then round 5, Sarno in Italy. And then looking finally, of course, to the UK Series as well. PFI kicks that one off 29th of April. Round 2, Larkhall in Scotland in June. I almost sounded Scottish when I said Scotland. I didn't even mean to. Silverstone in England is round number 3 in June. And then round 4 off to good old Wilton Mill on the 29th of July. But as you can see there, lots of events coming at you this season. We'd love for you to be involved in racing in these events. But of course, if that can't happen, whether that's whatever issue that is that's caused your lack of ability to get involved, still make sure you join us for all the live streamed action. And even if your schedule doesn't permit you watching it live, they'll all be available to watch at your leisure whenever you like on both the KartSim YouTube channel and the Champions of the Future YouTube channel. Well, as we look through the schedule there, I think we've had a couple of gremlins in the background, have we, Josh?
Yeah, slightly. So what we've decided to do is the fairest thing to do is just rerun qualifying. Unfortunately, it just means that everyone has to do it again, but it means it's more exciting for us at the end of the day as well. Let's see if the results will be probably very, very similar with Warwick Milan up in front. And then maybe let's see if some people actually copy some of the strategies from Warwick Milan. Maybe they might try and do a out, 1 lap, pit. They saw it work, so why not?
Yeah, he's laid his cards down on the table, hasn't he, now, of the tactics that he was using. So let's see if any drivers decide to copy those tactics heading through the second running of the session. Yeah, apologies everyone watching. We just had to go to just do a little break there while we got things sorted in the background, but these things happen. We just, like Josh said, fairest thing to do is to rerun the whole session, get everyone back in and amongst it again, and see how we set the grid. So 10 minutes on the clock again here for qualifying. And I'm not sure, we might see it play out very similarly to what we saw in the first running, but we might see a few little changes here. Maybe some drivers were thinking on 200% brain capacity, and they knew there was going to be an issue with the first bit of qualifying, so they kept their cars close to their chest, and they suddenly go to pole in this session. Hey, you never know. Crazier things have happened. Right then, 7.5 minutes left to go in this one. Currently, Alexis Chandelet quickest by over half a second. I think drivers just settling back in now, because again, it's a difficult one in and of itself. You finish qualifying, that's out of your mind. You're thinking, right, on to the race start, a different mindset for this race start, and suddenly you've got to get back into qualifying mindset yet again. That can't be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they all done it before again, so let's see if they can try and replicate what they did. It's very hard to put a perfect lap together, and it's very hard to do it twice. That's for sure. Yeah. But let's see if they can try, and it's definitely another consistency game. See if they can replicate what they can do. And, I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to have to replicate in a real race anyways every lap. So, Warwick Milan again, purple. Let's see how he can finish this lap off, but I would imagine it would be P1.
Exactly. Well, you can see it one way. You can also see it as you're getting an extra 10 minutes of professional esports running here in serious qualifying conditions. So, again, let's see who's able to lay it all out on the table, and let's see how things reshuffle in and amongst the order. Well, Milan, first lap on the board and goes fastest, but look at that response there from Alexis Chandelet. Warwick had got a good 4-5 tenths clear of the rest of the field, and Chandelet brings that gap back down to a few hundredths yet again. Well, we saw that session only ended with a few hundredths difference. Milan ahead of Chandelet. Could it be the other way round by the end of this session? But at the moment, it is pretty much a carbon copy to what we saw in the first running. A few different names reshuffling up the order. Legzicki's down a couple there in 6th place. But again, just like we saw earlier on, those gaps in and amongst the entire field spread really, really close. A few tenths ahead are our top two of Milan and Chandelet. But then back from that, it is hundredths between pretty much every single competitor and looking further down the order. Here is Darius Voronovic heading through the final couple of corners. He's gained a few tenths on that lap. He's a good 3/4 of a second up there on that lap. He's lost a few in the final sector, but he still gains a bit of time. A second off of the ultimate pace there. It is Darius Voronovic. Moves up into P9, just there into the top 10. Leonard Klapsing is relegated down into 10th place. I say that, he's now out of the top 10 as a few more drivers reshuffle. I think that was Finney Lyons jumping up into P8, as there he goes. Quickly as you like it, Liksicki's out of the top 10 as Joshua Bagembe jumps up into P10. Here is Finney Lyons that we jump on board with. Of course, he knows this circuit pretty well. He was the Tillotson T4 Junior Champion in 2025 at the Nations Cup. This kart, though, a little bit more power, but still similar things to be done out there on circuit. And Finney Lyons, we know he's an experienced driver.
Yeah, 100%. Still the same track. He's done a lot of races for us as well in the KartSim Esports Championship, so he's very experienced. Let's see if he can bring that experience to get into that sort of top 5 where he should belong.
Indeed. Well, look at that. Another purple sector 1 from Warwick Milam. My goodness, I thought he'd surely found the ultimate pace already there with the 53.166, but no, he's looking for more, is Warwick. Let's see what he can find then. Half a tenth already found in sector number 1. As he continues to press on around this lap then, how will it compare when he gets to the end of it? Finney Lyons, that was a good last lap from him then. He jumps up into 3rd place, so we were watching him a moment ago. He was down in 8th at the time. He's just gone less than 4 tenths off of pole there in P3. Brian Benerins jumps up into 4th place now, relatively where he was after the first running of qualifying, I should say. And Warwick does go a little bit further clear, gains another 0.04 of a second then to put himself 0.086 clear of Alexis Chenelet. Lorenz de Kock comes across the line. He's going to start a new lap of this qualifying session. And he, again, is just on that bubble there at the bottom end of the top 10. Ethan Miller comes back out of the pit lane. I've definitely seen a lot more names in blue in this session, I will say, Josh. So maybe some of them are copying Warwick Milam's tactics of heading back into the pit lane. But also, I think Warwick Milam hasn't been into the pits quite as much in this running as he did in the first one. So
he has once so far.
Okay. I think he's in at the moment, I think.
Maybe he really knows how to extract the tyres. I mean, he's already done a qualifying session. He's already done those laps. Maybe he's confident. He knows what he needs to do. He just needs to go out and do it. But he's on his out lap now again. Yeah,
he's just headed back out of the pits, hasn't he? Let's see what he can do. He's already, like we say, just less than a tenth clear of Alexis Chenelet at the moment. Here is Lorenz de Kock continuing on that hot lap into the final couple of corners he goes. He's gained a few tenths on this lap. This should be a good one for Lorenz. Where will he jump to? It's to 5th place. Good lap then. Half a second off of the ultimate pace then there from Lorenz. He jumps up into the top 5. So look at that. 1,000 between himself and Brian Benerins ahead, and only 100 then back to Artie and Tambor in 6th place. Oscar Poulsberg, he moves there into P10, so he's now the one on that bubble. As it all is chopping and changing in the mid-pack. I think we are closer than we were in the first running as well. Only 6 tenths now separating our top 10. But just like we saw first time around, less than a tenth in the top 2. Couple of tenths then back to 3rd place, now held by Brian Benerins, as that immediately changes again. Theodore Tubau with a great lap. 1/4 of a second now only off of the pole time. So continuing to see drivers improving here, and I think this is a good omen for the race to come.
And you could see earlier that Alex Chenelet was actually following Theodore around the track, if you remember. So it's definitely important to get that space. Obviously, Artem Tambor is right up the arse of someone else. But let's see if they can really get out onto the race. I mean, Alex Chenelet, he's as close as he was before, and the grid's as close as it was as well. If you look between P4 and P9, it's again under 2 tenths.
Exactly, yeah. Not ideal to be right on the rear bumper of another driver, particularly when they're a little bit slower. But, hey, all these tactics coming into play. Only a minute and a half left to go on the clock. Purple middle sector for Warwick Milam. Has he got any further clear? I don't think he did. I think lost a bit of time there in the final sector as well. So stays with the same gap back to Chenelet. But his time's not changed in a little while, has Alexis. He's been continuing to press on round, putting the laps in, but he's just struggling to find that little bit extra that Warwick has found around the lap. I say that, he's 100th down on his personal best lap time at the moment. He needs to find almost a tenth then here in the final sector, which, as you said earlier, is pretty much a flat out with 1 braking zone. So that's going to be a tough thing to find here. Around the final corner comes Alexis Chenelet. Will he move? He does improve, but not quite to pole. 100th of a second. Oh, he does. He does. Apologies. I thought he just missed out, but no, he's just got it. What a final sector. I said he needed to find about a 10th, and he did.
Well, the fact that he can go out there and just about beat, I mean, he's beaten his time from last time as well. Warwick Milam, I mean, they're within 100th. So it is really a battle of the titans in this qualifying session. Let's see, they're so easily matched. Let's see if Warwick Milam, he doesn't have the time to do another stint. Let's see if he can get some track position and really go for a final lap. He's behind Sawyer Henderson at the moment. Let's see if he can get past him. Will he have time for another lap though? There's only 15 seconds left. Will he cross the line in time?
It's going to be very close. He just about chops across the nose cone there of Sawyer Henderson. Time is ticking to 0. Can Warwick Milam get in another lap here? This is going to be close. He does. With 3 seconds on the clock, he gets another go at this. Well, let's see if he can grab pole position there. Don't forget Genelay continuing to head round the lap as well, but I think he's probably done. He is done. He's headed into the pits then. Right, this is the lap to watch. Can Warwick Milam take back the pole position he feels he deserves? Purple Sector 1 for Warwick Milam. Already nearly finds a 10th of a second.
Where's that been all day? He's just pulling laps out. He is really, really going for it now.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Look at the commitment there through the braking zone. Getting that rear, all sorts of slidey as he carries that speed, then back through this long right-hander and onto the back straight. Another couple of hundredths found there in sector number 2. He's just got to link up these last couple of corners, and it will be pole for Warwick Milam. Through he goes, through the right, through the left. The right again makes contact with the back marker. That could scupper his whole lap, and it does. Half a second lost in the final sector due to contact with a spinning driver. Changes who takes pole here at the first event of the year. Well, that's going to be an interesting one to be in the Discord for, isn't it, Josh? Well, Warwick Milam lines up on P2. Alexis Genelay gets pole position. On the rerunning there of qualifying, it was the fairest thing to do for the entirety of the field, but it does flip around. 100 in it between Genelay and Milam.
But did you see the lap that Warwick Milam was up? He did everything he could have done there. And, I mean, the race is going to be 12 laps of that. So if he can keep that pace on, he should be able to hopefully drive away.
Yeah, wow. Wow, what an end to the session there. My goodness, Warwick very much had that hooked up, didn't he? There was another 10th or 2 in that for Warwick. But just a shame, these things can happen when you're in an open session like this. It can happen in real life. You've got a yellow come out on the final lap and suddenly it's all over. Well, there is your qualifying results. I think we'll jump straight over to the grid for the race as well when we have a moment to do so. But Alexis Genelay, as we mentioned then, fastest in qualifying. That is simply ridiculous. Right then, Genelay and Milam are on the front of the grid. Tubal and Tambor behind them on row number 2. What a lovely lap from Theodore Tubal as he had a really nice running in that second running there of qualifying to get up into 3rd place. A couple of positions gained there in his second try there throughout qualifying. Lexicki and Benarans are on row 3. I think that's a couple of places lost for Benarans, but everyone pretty much in a similar position as to what we saw them in on the first running of the session. Vinny Lyons, Thomas Anthony, Johan Bordeaux and Lorenz de Kock. That rounds out the top 10 in the session. As we continue to look down the grid then, as my tracker on this screen has gone, so I'm afraid I can't run you through the grid from that portion downwards. You can see the rest filtering down on your screen now as well. Great to have so many drivers on the grid for this one. Don't worry about Jonathan's name there. Apologies, Jonathan, that we've scuppered your name a little bit there. Just what happens on R-Factor 2 when you put in umlauts and things that it doesn't recognise, it doesn't like it. So if you want your name to actually show up with English lettering, you're going to have to lose those for the next one. Equally, keep it the same. Looks kind of cool. Makes you stand out. Makes my job more difficult, but hey, anyway, crack on. Do what you want. Right then, Stig Nafstad and Ali Arnold there on the back row of the grid for this one, but I have got to just shout out that Stig Nafstad possibly has the coolest name I've ever heard. So big shout out to you, Stig. Legendary name. Sadly on the back row of the grid. Not what the Stig would have wanted. But nonetheless, plenty of work to do in the final coming up shortly. Looks as though we might have a couple more technical gremlins in the background, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Josh Erfen has sprinted off from his commentary box position to go and assist. Of course, Josh has been in amongst getting KartSim to be what it is today, really. He's been involved from the start of it. of course, Mr. Tony Irvin behind the whole operation, and just been going from strength to strength. It's amazing to see. It's something that I certainly looked at a couple of years ago and just thought, how can they go from here? It's already amazing. It's already just such the perfect product for kart drivers looking to be really serious in their racing and improving as a racing driver. But they've just continued to continue to get better, add new tracks, add new karts. Of course, we had the announcement of Rotax now being involved in the KartSim simulation software as well moving forward. That's going out as a free upgrade to any owners of version 4 of the Pro UK software, and that will soon enough be rolling out to both the EU software and the American software as well in due course, with a couple of extra kart models for those as well, because of course kart offerings among the different areas of the world are ever so slightly different. So just things to be tended to as well. But lots to be excited for. If there's any time to invest in your karting career, it is now, because not only do you get the amazing hardware and software created by everyone behind the scenes here at KartSim, but things such as this, the KartSim Champions of the Future Esports, it's all starting to kick off. And there's lots of different whispers behind the scenes of where KartSim will go next and how they will continue to make this even better and better. But I'm sure they will. I have full trust in the team behind the scenes, always doing a cracking job. Right then, we continue to look on to the rest of the evening. My sincerest apologies for this slight hold-up in proceedings. These things can always happen when we're running events over the internet. Things can always have their technical difficulties, can't they? And that's just the excitement of being involved in virtual racing. Of course, you get exactly the same thing when you're there in real life. It's just in slightly different forms. Of course, we're all used to having the Battenberg flag come out and that holding up racing, and you end up going round again. Well, positives of esports is that can't happen. You're there on the grid and you can go when you can go. But yeah, in real life, there's other reasons for the hold-up. So just apologies. Thank you for remaining with us at this time, and we will bring you back to racing as soon as we can. But yeah, like we were talking about earlier, plenty of esports races still to come this year across the multiple different series. And again, just a massive thank you to Champions of the Future and RGMMC for linking up with KartSim and allowing for this to be possible, because it is a real big commitment for Champions of the Future as well to put their name to such a beast. And what a beast it is. And the fact as well that we're running all of the rounds in lockstep with the real life scenes as well just shows the commitment as well from Champions of the Future in terms of the understanding of the simulation software, and just showing as well that the drivers can use the simulation software to practice for their real life round, and then they can have a genuine, serious esports racing experience of the race that they are about to do in a week or two time in the virtual software. So that is not seen anywhere else, I don't believe. Certainly within karting, I think there might be one or two similar things at least have happened in the past in car racing. But in terms of karting, first time that something like this has ever been done, and that is a big shout out to everyone behind the scenes at both KartSim and Champions of the Future for making it all possible. But as we continue to press on through, then we wait with bated breath as to an update, and I think we might just have one for you.
Yeah, so unfortunately we've had a little bit of server issues. The server gremlins have really got us this time. It has all been tested, unfortunately, but these sort of technical issues, sometimes they do happen, unfortunately. What we're going to do instead, we're going to run a 5-minute time qualifying. Obviously, we don't want people doing a very, very long 10-minute qualifying again, just a sort of a 1-2 lap sprint, and then we're going to try and get this race to work now as well.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll get this restarted, folks. Don't go anywhere. Racing action will begin soon enough. And we'll be back to competitive sessions in a brief moment.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is at least this is the cup. This isn't part of the championship as well. But yeah, unfortunately, the technical issues do happen. But we're working in the background to try and get it on working as soon as we can and get these drivers. They're very competitive. They all want to race. So let's see if we can fulfill their wishes here.
Yeah, I said you'd left post here in the commentary box, but I think understandably so, going to assist. And you're rather out of breath, so I think there's been quite a bit of assistance being done downstairs.
Yeah, so we've completely reset the server. Obviously, the server was all tested about an hour ago, and it was all working then. So and it worked on the last Champions of Future event as well. But yeah, let's start the races. Chernishkin Racing says as well, we want to see the race. Let's see what we can do here. 5-minute time queue, out in 1 lap. Let's see what everything you can get. It's really about getting that lap in now, and then hopefully we should be good to go.
Okay, cool. Well, third time of asking then for qualifying, and well, the first 2 times we've seen 2 different pole sitters. So this is going to be interesting then as to who can hook up the lap nice and quickly in this session. I think there's certainly one man that's going to be pretty happy that we're doing it again, and that's Warwick Milam. We saw he was a couple of tenths up on that final lap, got scuppered by someone parked pretty much in the middle of the circuit there, heading out the final corner, and I think he will be feeling that pole was stolen from him. Well, he's got another 5 minutes to try and have another go at it. Looks as though we've got the server back up and running then. In a few moments' time, you'll see the karts reappear on your screens. As Josh mentioned, 5 minutes for qualifying then, short and sharp, and as we said, only just less than a minute to do a whole lap. So realistically, is Warwick Milam even going to be able to do his tactic of heading back to the pits maybe once?
We don't only have 5 minutes, we have 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes now.
Oh, okay, wow.
They're all out on track, they're all on their first laps now. Let's see, this is really down to the crunch. Let's see if they can really get into that lap. There's going to be a lot of people trying to follow the people like Warwick Milan and Theodore and Alex Lizicki and obviously Alex as well, Jenna Lay. And there's really going to be the chance to try and get some good positioning behind a fast driver, and it's going to be really, really tough to. I mean, if there's a slower driver in front of you, they could really affect your lap like Warwick Milan was affected in that last lap. And I think Warwick Milan's now just got a lot of clear space because he doesn't want to make the same mistake. He knows that he can do the time on his own, ready to go. 2 minutes left to go. Let's see if we can do it.
Yeah, on his own, fully focused then as he heads around the final corner. And he does go to the top. Just over a tenth clear then already is Warwick Milam. Alexis Genelay in second place. So even after just the first laps out of the pit lane, the cream of the crop rising to the top once more. And Anson Gal, our youngest driver of the field, 9 years of age is Anson, following Alexis. So he's worked out what to do in this one. Follow someone who he knows is going to be very quick as they continue to press on. But like you say, no time in this session at all to get things sorted. So it really is just to get out there and put a lap down and see how it goes. Oh dear, Jenna Lay follow the final corner spins. And I just said Anson was doing a great job following him. Actually, it scuppered him completely. So I was totally wrong here. And that's why I'm in the commentary box and not on the track.
Well, spinning that last corner, that's not only ruined that lap for Alex, but it's also ruined the next lap. So you only really get 1 more lap to go. So the pressure's really on him to try and replicate what he did last session and beat Warwick Milam to the line. A minute to go. Warwick's going to get 1 more lap after this as well because it's a 53-second lap and he crossed it with 56 to go.
At the moment, it might not be a case of beating Warwick Milam. It might be just holding on to second place on the grid. Really not that far off now. Theodore Tubal, Brian Benarins, Ethan Miller, good few drivers close in behind in terms of overall lap times. And with that previous lap from Warwick Milam, he's gone 1/4 of a second clear at the sharp end of the order. So with 30 seconds now left to go on the clock, let's see if this short and sharp qualifying session shuffles up the grid somewhat. To the final corner goes Ethan Miller. Let's see if he can jump up the grid.
20 seconds left on the clock, so everyone crossing the line now. This is your last lap. Alex Lizicki, this is your last lap. He's currently in P17, I believe. So he really needs to try and get a clean lap together and see where he can get into.
Warwick Milam is going to be close here. He should just about come across the line before the timer ticks 0. I don't think the same can be said for Theodore Tubal. He'll just about hit checkered flag here. And does he stay in 4th place? He does. So Tubal, highest he can go on this grid is P4. Artian Tambers into the pits. The highest he can go is P3. Few different drivers to watch on this one, particularly Alexis Genelay, but he might just get stuck here behind some slower drivers. One of those being Alex Lizicki in 19th place. He's going to be frustrated with how that qualifying session's gone. Bit of time found in the middle sector then for Alexis Genelay, but look at the train he's in, and he's not finding enough here to get pole position.
Let's just see what they come through from last. Alex Genelay, 2nd place. Alex Lizicki only up to 10th. So this sort of short session has really punished him, where he just hasn't been able to get that track position he's wanted.
Yeah, couldn't quite settle into it as he did in previous sessions. Vinny Lyons crosses the line and jumps up into 7th place. So a good last lap from him. I think he was 7th in the previous session, so stays exactly where he was. And that brings our qualifying to a close then. A slightly topsy-turvy qualifying session there to finish us off. But it is as it was. Warwick Milam takes pole position then with Alexis Genelay alongside him. Martin Tambor and Theodore Tubal on row 2. Followed by Thomas Anthony, Brian Benerens, Vinny Lyons, Ethan Miller, Oscar Poulsberg and Joshua Begembe, your top 10. As we continue to press on, I'll have a look and see if I can bring you the rest of the drivers outside of the top 10. And hopefully, the main thing is we don't have any issues with the server once more. Hopefully that is all said and done. And we'll bring you an update when we can. Looking through the rest of the order then. See if I can bring it up on my side of the screen. Thank you very much. Sawyer Henderson 11th, Alex Zicki 12th, Harvey Sargison, Stig Nastad, Isaac Morgan, Elian Knoll, Jonathan Ramon, then James Vout, Darius Vronovic, Anson Gao, and then I think finalising the order, Jonathan Bordeaux, Hayden Taylor, Jensen Houghton, Lorenz de Kock, Leonard Klapsing and Ishan Jivadipan. A good few drivers for this one, but Josh, do you have an update for us?
Unfortunately, the server hasn't worked again, which is very unfortunate. We'll have to cancel the race this time, and we will most likely have to reschedule it.
That's a real shame. A real shame. These things can happen though when you're working over the internet. It's never stable when you want it to be, is it? There's always issues. As you mentioned, these servers have been tested and tested again. But of course, when you get to the main stage, suddenly it falls apart, which is just a classic. We've all been there before. So real shame that we've had to end this evening like that. But as you mentioned, these things happen, and we will get it rescheduled for later on down the line.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'm sorry we couldn't bring you that racing action we wanted, but well, we know now, at least, who's at the top of the field, who we're looking forward to for this championship, and let this only be the last problem we have with this. We'll get this redone, get this reloaded, because we want to see, as much as you guys want to, everyone race a Champions of the Future KartSim Esports event.
Exactly. Yeah, we were really looking forward to that as we saw the battles at the sharp end, but also flowing down the order as well was sure to be very exciting. Again, our sincerest apologies that it's not quite gone how we would have liked it to this evening, but we hope you do join us when we rerun the event. Make sure you keep your eyes out on the KartSim socials for updates as to when the new date for the KartSim Champions of the Future Esports Cup will be held. But of course, after that, the first round of one of the series will be the International Series Round 1 on the 18th of March. Make sure you join us for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the KartSim YouTube channel and the Champions of the Future YouTube channel so you don't miss any of those. Again, our sincerest apologies for everyone here behind the scenes. We'll be bringing you the event soon enough. Keep yourself on the socials to keep up to date with all of that. But until then, have a lovely rest of your evening and we'll see you there.
Thank you very much, guys.